Okay, so I think this is the 7th video, and this one is powers and indices. Now this, as was a grade C topic, but now there's no longer any grade Cs. We're probably looking at a sort of grade 4 topic to sort of grade 5. It's not that tricky, but they can sort of make the questions a little bit tricky, which we'll see in a second. But the premise behind it is really quite simple. And powers or indices, I've put both of them here because they're both exactly the same thing. Powers are 3 to the power of 7. Now what this would mean, that would be 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So that's just 3 7 times. Then we're multiplying it, so times by 3 to the power of 6. So 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. So rather than saying 3 times 3 times 3 times all the way to this one over here, we could just say, okay, well I had 7 initially, and I multiplied it by 3 to the power of 6. So rather than saying 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 all the way to the end, I could just add them together and say, okay, that's 13 of them, so that's going to be 3 to the power of 13. Look like it's 3. So 3 to the power of 13. So the sort of point being is that when we have questions like this, when we've got a multiplication and we're talking about indices, then the base stays the same. So it's still going to be 3 to the power of, because all of these numbers are 3. But on the top there was 13 of them, so we add the powers. So the next question, if I was to do exactly the same thing, there would be 10 of them. So 3 to the power of 6 times by 3 to the power of 10, so 3 to the power of 6 times by 3 to the power of 4 gives you 3 to the power of 10. So the key thing to remember here is when we've got these indices questions, if it says multiply, we just add the powers together. And in exactly the opposite way, we've got this question here where we're dividing. So that just means subtracting the powers. So 3 to the power of 7 divided by 3 to the power of 2, we just take the powers away, leaving us with 3 to the power of 5. Now sometimes what they'll do is they'll write it in a slightly more awkward way, like this one here. Now this means exactly the same thing. 8 to the power of 12 over 8 to the power of 2 means 8 to the power of 12 divided by 8 to the power of 2. So it's just being aware of that and having seen it a couple of times before. So then if we simplify the indices by subtracting them, that's going to be 8 to the power of 10. Okay, so when we have multiply, we add the powers. When it says divide, we subtract the powers. This time it's in brackets. Now in that case, we simply multiply the powers. Because squared means times by itself. So that's like saying 2 to the power of 3 times by 2 to the power of 3. So 3 plus 3 is just 2 to the power of 6. So we're doing 2 lots of 3. So 2 to the power of 6, and that's why it works. So the next one, we've got brackets. So all we're going to do is we're going to multiply the powers together. So that's going to be 5 to the power of 6. About as complicated as they can make it is the final one here, which we've got. But you've got to do 2 processes, just one after the other. So if we just simplify the top of this fraction, we've got 7 to the power of 4 multiplied by 7 to the power of 5. So we add the powers together, that's going to be 7 to the power of 9. If we do the same for the bottom, 7 to the power of 2 times by 7 to the power of 3 gives us 7 to the power of 5. And then it turns into exactly the same as this question here. It's just another division one. So 7 to the power of 9 divided by 7 to the power of 5, you subtract the powers, leaving us with 7 to the power of 4. Okay, that's all there is to it. It's quite a short topic, this one. So now this one is your turn. Now, when you go through these, you could pause the video, or if you've gone through them and you've already paused it, and you've had difficulty with this one here, that's because there is no power on the second one. So if there's no power, what that means, that's 3 to the power of 1, which similarly, for this one over here, is 2 to the power of 1. Okay, so now I've conjugated long enough, so now we can go through the answers. So 4 to the power of 5 times by 4 to the power of 6. Remember, the 4 stays the same. A lot of people make the mistake and say 16. It's not. 4 stays the same, but we just add the powers together. So 5 plus 6 is 11. Next one, 2 to the power of 6 times by 2 to the power of 4 is going to be 2 to the power of 10. It's only worth 1 mark in the exam. But again, it's 1 mark that you don't want to drop because, let's face it, it is easy stuff. Right, 3 to the power of 6 divided by 3 to the power of 1. We're just going to take away the powers, just like we did beforehand. So that's going to be 3 to the power of 5. Again, recognising that this means divide, so 7 to the power of 6 divided by 7 to the power of 3 is 7 to the power of 3. Now don't divide the powers. That's another mistake that people make. So 6 divided by 3 is obviously 2. But when we're dealing with powers, we need to subtract them. Going to these ones over here. So 6 to the power of 2 to the power of 3, we need to multiply the powers together because it's in brackets. So we've got 2 to the power of 3. So that's going to be 6 to the power of 6. Again, we've got brackets here with an index on the outside, so we're going to multiply those. That's going to be 4 to the power of 6. Finally, let's deal with this one. Again, it's a bit trickier, but again, it's something that we can easily deal with. If we can deal with the rest of it, this one's not going to cause us any issues. So 2 to the power of 3 times by 2 to the power of 8, we need to multiply them together, which makes 2 to the power of 11. Finally, 2 to the power of 3 times by 2 to the power of 1 is 2 to the power of 4. Which leaves us, all we need to do now is just simplify, because that's a division. So 2 to the power of 11 divided by 2 to the power of 4 leaves us with 2 to the power of 7. Hopefully you've done pretty well on that one. I really hope you're enjoying them. Please, please, please like, share and subscribe.